Good morning. Welcome to ATI Pro Media. We're powered by Advanced Trading. We've got an action-packed show, lots of price action. End of the month, end of July here. Can't believe we're saying that. Went for a walk this morning. It was dewy out. I don't know how the corn looks. It's a few blocks away, but the grass in the neighborhood looks good. How's it look by you? Drop a comment. We have all types of headlines. I was up early this morning. Lots of things happening, whether it be crude oil or anything else. We'll get into all that. We have some exports. We have some really neat things happening. May not be what you want, but it is what's happening. We'll talk about it all. All right, let's go to LaSalle Street real quick and look at the markets. Corn down 2, D's corn down 2. Beans up a quarter cent, coming back a little bit here. They were up a little bit more, settling back in. Meal down 31, oil up 24. Wheat, Board of Trade wheat pretty quiet, up a penny. Casey wheat down a penny. Hard red spring up 2 pennies, pretty quiet over there too. Little action in the cattle this morning. August cattle down 60, feeder cattle down 50, hogs up 25. Let's move it over to Wall Street here and see what we see. Gold up 17, silver up 44. Looking at interest rates, this is interesting because we're starting to really move here. 2s, 5s, 10s, 30s, all up on the day, meaning the bond market's up, meaning that yields are down. Yields are hitting really lower levels here, looking at close to a 4.10 10-year yield. Pretty amazing here. When we've talked a lot about yields here as we started the show about 6-9 months ago, and we used to talk about the 10-year every day. We just kind of quote it now, but yields at the lowest level they've been in quite a while. Crude oil, this was a big mover overnight, up to 40 to 30. Right now, we've had some news over there. Natural gas down 80, Dow Jones down 30. This is where it gets wild. NASDAQ up 500. That's right. Dow Jones down 30, NASDAQ up 500, S&P up 73. Bitcoin's moving around a little bit because it's Bitcoin. That's what it does here. But Bitcoin up 1,000. Dr. Copper up 10. So we have quite a divergence there in the stock market versus the Dow Jones stock market versus the NASDAQ. Let's bring him in, Connor B. Talk about the headlines and everything else we have going.
Hey, good morning, Tommy.
Morning, Connor. I was recording Premium with Brad Downing, so he'll be on here in a little bit. I'll have that video all ready for people. And you guys have a nice show. The headlines built themselves overnight, didn't they?
They really did. We got a lot of headlines. And then also, when I'm looking at my quote screen, I feel like the story's got to be this D's 24 contract. We've got it hovering right now, 402 3/4. We've really got to see it close above a 403, 404. So we'll keep looking at that and see where that goes. That's what I'll be watching today closely. But other than that, let's jump right in the headlines if you want, Tommy.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
Yeah. First one I had before we get in the headlines. Have you been watching the gymnastics? For anyone that doesn't know, Tommy's daughter, right, state champion gymnast. Did you see USA's making a good showing? I wanted to say that.
I did not, but I came downstairs yesterday and she was sitting on the couch all staring at the TV. I said, "What's going on here?" She said, "I'm watching the gymnastics." I believe they won a ton of medals. They put out a really cool TikTok with they're filming. So this morning on CNBC, they're talking about social media and the Olympics and how Olympians can have something they want to say, put it out in social media, and it could have 10 million views quickly. So in the old days, you'd go to the press, do an interview, they'd see it the next day. These kids, they're not kids, they're young adults, all have phones, and they're just their own little reporters. So reporting good news back from Paris when it comes to U.S. gymnastics. Thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah, no problem. All right, first one we got flash sale. Not a big one, but we'll take it, right? 104,000 metric ton of corn delivered to unknown destinations. And so we need those flash sales, could really use some bean sales, but we'll take what we can get at this point. And so,
yeah, it's we'll take it. We'll take it. This one's interesting. Fed meeting. We'll see what happens. There's going to be a lot of chatter. I don't know if the markets are going to close up here. This is wild. Dow down 50, NASDAQ up 475. We'll see what happens. This is quite a divergence. Intel had earnings. Who else had earnings the other day? ADM, of course, but AMD, the chip maker, said some things. And all eyes on NVIDIA. I guess NVIDIA's really had a bad run for the month, and it's bounced a lot overnight, and that's what we're trading up here on.
So Fed meeting, right? Very low chance that they do anything with rates. We're going to listen to what they say. Right now, we're factoring in it's 100% chance we're going to see a rate cut, or that's what they're predicting. 100% chance that we see a rate cut in September. So it's going to be interesting to see throughout this month if that holds. Right, that's really going to be the story, unless we get some surprising news.
Yeah, so as you look at that bond market, you're seeing the bonds trade up, interest rates trade down, and people are starting to feel relieved that maybe the worst is over when it comes to this interest rate explosion that we've had here over the last, gosh, probably 2.5 years. It's been a while, but we went from what was 12, 14 years of really low interest, and we've rallied up a bunch. You're seeing it obviously with tractor sales and farm loans and everything. Anything, anyone. It's not just ag. Anyone touching a dollar. Yeah,
Yep.
probably can't make 5% as easy as you used to, but for sure, anyone in the world will give you 4.5%. So you're either making 4.5 or you're paying 8.5, something like that.
Right. And speaking of earnings, you talked about you and Brady did a good job talking about ADM. In that same scope, we saw Bunge, right? They missed on earnings as well. We saw their shares sliding down right around 6%. And so it's just a similar story, right? Weaker processing margin. We saw it with ADM. We saw it with Bunge, right? It's a common trend. And when we see these lower prices and a bad farm economy, the other companies involved with that are going to feel it as well.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. There's all types of news coming out. We have some charts that just show in the news. It just doesn't the news and the numbers on the farms. It just doesn't look as good. One quick note: a farmer had called yesterday, and he had said, "Oh, I hear the funds are really short, and they're going to have to cover." And my response to him was, "I heard the world farmer is extremely long, and they need to sell a new crop every 6 months between South America, North America, Ukraine, Russia, everyone else. Like, yeah, the funds are short. That is a true story, but um, the world farmer is extremely long, and
Yep.
the numbers are flipped. Did you see that text I sent you from Josh Linville, where he just I don't know what his necessarily what his point
Okay.
was, but he had said, this is up, that's up, this hasn't went down, that hadn't went down, this hadn't went down. Price of commodities collapsed. And he's a fertilizer expert at FC Stone, very, very talented young man. And he's just saying that not only did fertilizer really not go down, it kind of looks like it might be up a little bit next year, and that has people really concerned.
Yeah. Yeah. Brutal. Hey, I got a headline for the grain bulls out there, right? We like to talk about where we're having production issues. They're really in Ukraine right now. Grain Traders Union in Ukraine lowered their grain production forecast 71 million metric ton. They estimated the corn crop 23 million metric ton. USDA is at 27. So if we're talking somewhere that's production issues, every year I think we get that, right? Me in Illinois, local guys will talk about the issues that are in. Last year it was Kansas. Previous years it was in the Dakotas. Right? We don't have that as much this year. So right now, if you're going to be a big grain bull, we're looking at that Ukraine forecast. Something like 80% of their corn crop is in drier than normal conditions. So see, we're going to go. Looks like they're having issues though, Tommy.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it's never perfect everywhere. And with that, we may trade that news at a later date. Maybe right now the markets don't want to trade it. Just a little update on the markets. They're on the low. Corn down 3.5, beans down 1.5. Beans tried to rally weak, giving it up end of the month, not end of the quarter, but definitely the end of July here. And they've seen some selling. If you have a question, a comment, drop it in there, and we'll keep chatting.
Yeah. Oil, you mentioned this on your headlines, but oil prices running up significantly. The leader of Hamas was killed yesterday. So looking at a little bit more potential unrest, potential uncertainty in the Middle East, and we're seeing oil prices respond accordingly.
That's interesting. The tensions overseas aren't they're not stopping, right? The problems keep popping up, and the market didn't really. No one was really upset about it. Obviously, if you're over there, it's a huge big deal. But you see headlines like this, and you think the market's really gonna uh,
Take off.
move,
Yeah.
and they didn't.
Yeah. Hey, I got one for everyone. Farm Doc does a great job of they put out the farm budgets. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. Scott Irwin put it on Twitter. It got 250,000 views. Well, they did it again, and they're looking at 25. Here's the graph that stood out to me, Tommy, is just looking at historical returns in Central Illinois, and it really paints a picture, the environment we're in right now, and then also the potential going forward, right? 23 and 24 looking very negative. One thing I'll preface and say is that 23, if we did a good job marketing, that probably paints a little bit negative picture. You know, the other thing that stands out to me, Tommy, is we got to remember how good it was 20, 21, 22. So no surprise to anyone, we are in uncharted territory when we're looking at budgeting, when we're looking at price forecasts for 24.
Yeah, and we worked with some people yesterday. They said, "Let's get started. Let's set that $4 floor in 2025." And you don't have crop insurance yet on 2025, so the risk is still that we go down. I hate to say that, but they just said, "I'm nervous. I want to feel better." I have several calls to make today of people, whether they be new accounts or existing accounts, who say, "How do I make this madness stop?" And you'll notice when we have our premium contributors on, they're all in the same bucket. Whether they, a lot of these guys are friends and have their own hedge accounts, click the mouse themselves, or they have brokers, or they have access to all the people and all the sources to get hedged and protected and sold, and they didn't do it. And there's only so much you can do. At some point, you just need to say, "Hey, we understand. You made a mistake. I'm not here to yell at you. I'm not your father. I'm just here to be a coach and help you through these hard times." And we knew in ag, when times are overly, overly, overly good, when the rubber band stretches that far to the upside, it usually goes to the downside. When it's happening and times are that good, you can't imagine it to get that bad, but it does. And when it does, it's ugly.
Yep. Yep. I equate it to a pendulum swinging, right? We swing one way, we're going to swing violently the other way as well. And so, last one I have for you, Tommy, is I want to peek down in South America and look at that safrinha corn crop. It is 86% harvested as of yesterday, as of this week. Almost a four. I mean, last year they were 57%. So, same story that we've been seeing. They've made great harvest progress. We've seen them raise yields the past couple CONAB reports. And so no reason to think that that trend won't continue so far. Crop is all but harvested. And also where the majority of that safrinha corn crop is in the Mato Grosso region, they're about 100%. They've almost got it all wrapped up, Tommy.
Good stuff. Yeah, the world's growing big bushels. Everyone's competing against everyone. Be interesting to have equipment people on here and everyone else. Uh, I do feel like we've already had the accident. It's not like we're coming on this and saying things could get bad. There feels like it's starting. We're starting. It's happening. But with that, you still have to understand, as we go lower, there's explosive risk to the upside with abnormal weather in August, pumped up demand. The fund's very short. You get a couple things to switch. You get the funds start to cover, some demand comes in, someone gets off kilter. Like, as these funds, it's taken them months and months and months and months to pile into these shorts. If someone wants to get out, it could be very volatile. So mind both the upside and the
Yep.
downside. If you're selling grain and you want to buy a little back through a call option, we understand that and we could help you.
Yep. Yep. My message is very much, where do we go from here, right? We know the low prices. Looking in the rearview mirror, hindsight marketing doesn't do anyone any good, right? If the past couple of years, if we could be a little cavalier with our marketing, we saw the good prices. Now's the time to be disciplined, and I think especially the next 60 days, the next week or two for me, Tommy, right? I'm really looking at that August 12th crop report and using that as the deadline, right, to start getting the marketing plan, the harvest plan in place, and then executing from there.
Yeah, let's grab some questions. Get out
Yep.
here. We'll talk about ATI Pro Media real quick. Premium. Want to grab this one?
Yep. ADM and Kershaw paying 120 over for front month beans, 40 over for new crop beans. I don't know historical, Luke, if that is pretty typical, right? A South Carolina. Also, is that a River Terminal crush plant? I don't know that either, but a good basis number. We're seeing firm basis numbers, not on the new crop in Central Illinois, not at all, but on old crop beans, right? They want them. They want to buy the beans before harvest. Probably, if you're an elevator processor, they're probably moving them very quickly. They're not going to store those through harvest. We've got a potential for a big crop, but good to see, right? I'll take a $1.20 basis any day.
Yep.
Brady Huck, keep in mind, some of those returns assume the farmer didn't manage any risk. Many farmers did a great job this year, especially ATI customers. Well said. There's nothing more hotly debated, in my opinion, is when we look at those crop budgets, right? It's taking all the different, the diversity in farming, the different operations, and they try to take an average. Very hard to do, but it gives us a playbook. So well said, Brady.
All right. That's it for questions, comments. We just recorded a ATI. Oh, we got it here. Luke, crush plant, fairly
plant.
typical on the basis, maybe a bit higher for old crop. Yeah, as prices drop and you're in one of those areas where he's having drought and everything else, could be interesting. All right. We're going to, we did some premium yesterday. Let's see what we did. How low can we go was premium with myself.
Look at that guy.
Yeah, look at that. That's an old picture or something. We talked about just the markets and looked at charts. What we did was we looked at monthly charts, and monthlies say we can go another 50 cents. It that we've spent a lot of time over history, 50 cents lower in corn, and we can go multiple dollars lower in beans. That's hard to spit out of my mouth. I'm having a hard time saying it, but it is possible, and there's options trading at all those levels. And so because someone doesn't think we can go down there, has nothing to do with what we're actually going to do.
Yep, exactly. And I'll equate that still to looking at the national yield. Right now, USDA is at a 181. The thought of going above that seems impossible, right? We've never had a 180 plus national yield. How the heck are they going to raise it? Surely they're going to drop it a bushel or two. Well, I'll go back to last year. We raised a record crop, and I can't remember how many people told me we weren't going to have anything. It was going to be below a 170. So keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, crop tours start this month. It'll be interesting. Yep. I don't think it'll be as interesting as past years just because of the current situation. So with that, if we missed you, give us a call, 1-800-737-FARM. Email us info@ATI Pro Media. Our website is www.atipromedia.com if you're interested in premium content. Connor B., Assumption, Illinois. Tommy Grisafi, Valparaiso, Indiana. Brady Huck was below us, just waiting. Let's look at those cattle. Just since we started, they came back. But grains are trading down as the month ends. Hopefully August brings better things for you all. Talk to you in the morning, everyone.
See ya.
Thanks for joining us. We're here every day, 9 a.m. Central. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.